Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Million Dollar Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where we talk about what does it take to become a $1 million speaker? How do we make $1 million speaking? And how do we reach millions of people? Hi, I'm Arvee Robinson. I'm the master speaker trainer, international speaker, and author of Speak Up, Get Clients. And speaking of authors, I have a very special guest that I am so excited to introduce, and that is Suzy Prudden. Suzy Prudden is a legend. She's an internationally acclaimed speaker and seminar leader, New York best-selling author before the internet, fitness expert, body mind pioneer, hypnotherapist, success and empowerment coach, TV host on NBC and Nickelodeon, creator of the Inner Mind Certification Program, and now book publisher and host on WBAI-FM radio in New York. Suzy's current specialty is publishing itty bitty books by experts to give the reader exactly what they want and need on the topic of their choice with no fluff. She then works with the author to use their book as a business builder, not just a business card. Itty Bitty books are the perfect marketing tool for the entrepreneur and small business owner. Check it out at www.ittybittypublishing.com. You've seen Suzy on Oprah, Good Morning America, and the Today Show. The New York Times says, if Suzy's talking about it today, the rest of the country will be talking about it tomorrow. So our topic today is use your book as a business builder, not just a business card. So let's welcome Suzy Prudden. Yay! All right, welcome, Suzy.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Welcome. All right. So I know, Suzy, you and I have known each other many, many years.
Yes.
And you and I have shared many stages together.
Yes.
So one of the very first questions I like to ask my guests is what makes you a $1 million speaker? Because I believe you are one, absolutely, without a doubt. But what do you think the characteristics and the traits are of a $1 million speaker that you have?
You show up on time and you stop speaking on time. I'm funny. I'm brilliant. I'm entertaining. And I get the audience involved. The first thing I do when I start my talks is get the audience moving, because they've probably been sitting a long time. And since I was a fitness expert, I just get them all moving.
I love that.
And once they're moving, then they're grounded and their attention is totally on me, which is where I want it.
I love it. Totally on the speaker. Absolutely. Yes. Now, one of the very first times I met you years ago, I mean, it was like 17 years ago, and you showed up at one of my events and you had your little boom box. Do you remember that?
Yep.
Your boom box. Yep. And you did just that. You asked if you could get the audience moving in between, maybe after lunch or whatever. And I was so grateful for that. And I'll never forget, it was so much fun because we're sitting down, standing up, sitting down, standing up, put your hand up. Anyway, I'll never forget that. So not only did it work, but it was memorable, and I'll never forget that. So very good.
When people meet me off stage, sometimes they'll come up to me going, hi, Suzy.
Yeah, they raise their hand and raise their arm. Yeah, they move. I love that. You've done so much, so much positive, with the speakers and the audience just by getting them involved, but moving. I mean, it's just Fabulous. So thank you for that. But you have moved on from, your boombox on stage, and you got into publishing. So why don't you tell us a little bit about how you got started with publishing? First, yeah, publishing. Tell us about your book. Tell us about being a best-selling author, and let's just have a great conversation about that today.
Well, I'll answer that question. What I want to tell you first, that I sold my first book at a cocktail party in East Hampton, Long Island in 1971.
Wow, what book was that?
That was Suzy Prudden's Fitness for Baby and Child.
Oh,
And
nice.
I was talking to an editor at the party, and I told her about this book idea I had, because I had a fitness school in New York City and a summer camp in East Hampton, and I specialized in toddlers. And I told her all about this book idea, and she said, "Oh, that's very good. I'd like to see it. Do you have an outline?" I said, "Yes." And she said, "May I pick it up Monday morning on my way back to Manhattan?" And I said, "Yes."
Yes.
And I wrote it over the weekend. And I gave it to her Monday morning. She called me on Thursday and said, "We'd like to buy your book." This
Oh,
is William Morrow Publishing. And they were going to give me $3,000. And I said, "Great, let me talk to my husband and I'll get back to you." Hung up the phone with Joni Evans, picked up the phone and called William Morris Agency. And I said, "Hi, this is Suzy Prudden. I just sold a book to William Morrow. I need an agent to negotiate the contract."
oh
And
my goodness.
they assigned an agent to me who was my agent for quite a few years. She sold quite a few books of ours to different publishers. And the only problem, I couldn't write at the time, but my husband could. So she negotiated the contract. We got 5,000 instead of 3. And we wrote the book. It was published in 1972, and that was the beginning.
Oh, fabulous. Now, Suzy, is that book available today if someone wanted to just go back to your grassroots and
I don't think so. I don't think so. I've looked for it. I think I have one of the few copies. You could find it at a garage sale. I've had people send me my books from garage sales, because I have 11 books that I did in my fitness years.
nice.
And the one that's on my right shoulder there with Oprah, that's Meta Fitness, Your Thoughts Taking Shape, which was published by Hay House. And
Got it. Got
yeah,
it. So you've written 11 books and you have I mean, how many of those are bestsellers?
just the one, Spot Reducing.
Spot.
And Spot Reducing, and I can't remember if it came out in the 78. Yeah, I think it was 78. It was a beautiful, it still is. It's not in print anymore, but it is a beautiful book. I was so proud of it. My husband and I were on tour, and we were in Detroit when my editor called me and he said, "You made it.
You made what? The best-selling.
You made it to the bestseller list."
And how many? I mean, this is before the internet. Now it's not. I mean, that's when it was a big deal and a lot of hard work to become a best-selling author. It wasn't like, every day like it is kind of now on Amazon. So tell us, what did it take to become a best-selling author?
It took a lot of hard work. And, it's interesting, as a publisher now, writers don't realize that the work begins really after you publish the book. That's when the real work begins. Because I was on tour, we did a 22 city tour. That's
Whoa.
a different, that was a different tour. It was an 18, okay, somewhere between 18 and 22 cities. I can't remember which. So we traveled from New York to Philadelphia, to Washington, to Pittsburgh, to Cleveland, to Columbus, to Chicago. I mean, that's what it was like. And we'd have a weekend in a different city, but it was a lot of work. And you had to sell. The reason tours worked is because the author was out on radio and television in a very short period of time, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think the longest I was on the road was actually 4 weeks, but it's different city every day. So the buzz was buzzing, and you had to sell about 30 to 40,000 books in 2 weeks.
Wow, 30 to 40,000 books live.
Yeah.
And so that means you signed a lot of books.
Well, I didn't do a lot of book signings. No, I did a lot of television. I love television. I love television. You'd come on, I'd give my book to the host and we'd talk about the book and talk about whatever. It was fun. I love television. I love radio. I love talking.
All right. Talking about talking, I want to come back because we kind of skipped over it when you said the picture of, your book over the shoulder. I want to just tell our podcast audience that picture is with Suzy with Oprah Winfrey on the Oprah Winfrey Show. And what year was that?
1980.
In the 80s.
Wait, 1989.
1989. So it was huge just to get on the show. So I want to know a couple of things. One, how did you get on the show? And two, what was it like speaking to the queen of talk radio, of talk television?
Well, she became a client of mine for a while after that.
Is that right?
Yeah, I don't talk about that a lot. It wasn't very long because I made a mistake, and Oprah is extremely private, and she's right to be so.
Uh-oh.
And yeah, it was a fascinating. Okay, so it was wonderful to be on the show, and the way I got there was I hired a publicist. There was no magic in it. I hired a publicist.
Okay.
So this is very important. People who want to do what I've done, which is write books and get publicity and do all that.
Right.
You've got to be smart about it. Don't do it yourself. Get an agent. I sold the book to William Morrow. Then I got my agent. I would not negotiate the contract myself. The only time I've negotiated the contract myself, it's been a disaster. So get an agent. And if you want to do something like get on the Oprah show, hire a publicist. Don't do it yourself, because people don't. In selling a book today to a publisher, you have to have an agent. Publishers will not look at your book if you don't have an agent.
Good.
So that's advice to people who are thinking about writing a book. What else did you ask me? I forgot already.
I said, what was it like?
Oh, it was wonderful. It was so fun. I was sitting in the green room. It was a show on my book, on my work, which was about the way you think about your body creates your body. And in making peace with your body, you make peace with your life. And so it was great. We were sitting in the green room, and there were some other women that were going to be on the show. They were models who hated their bodies. And, it was so fun. I mean, it was because my work is about loving your body. And somebody looked at me and said, "You've done this before, haven't you?" Because I was just sitting there waiting. I've been, and
you were calmly waiting, patiently waiting.
Yeah. And I had to work with Oprah before she became the big deal that she became. In 1981, I worked with her in Baltimore. She was a newscaster. 1983, I worked with her in Baltimore again. She was a newscaster. And then in 1986, my book, Spot Reducing, they wanted me on the show. They had another woman on the show who was talking about thighs, and I was talking about arms. So,
and they were the same size, right? For a model, her thighs are the same size as her arms, right?
Just about. But it was great. She's very gracious. Oh my goodness, she's gracious. I'm going to give an aside. So I'm back home, and I'm in my little house in Topanga, and the phone rings, and I pick it up, and the person says, "Hello, Suzy. This is Oprah."
Oh my God.
And I stared at the phone, and I went,
"Oh my God.
Hi."
She probably gets that reaction a lot.
Oh, I'm sure.
Then what happened?
Well, she said, I have a situation that I'd like some help with. Do you think you could help me? I said, yes. And I did.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, Suzy, I didn't even know that about
that. I just started talking about that because it's interesting. It's like, oh yeah, I did that. Arvee, I'm 77, and I look back at my life now and I go,
holy cow.
Oh my God. I did that. I did that. I did that. I did that. I had a big life. And now I have a big presence on Zoom.
There you go. We all have a big presence on Zoom. But you know what? You have left your legacy, throughout the, last 20, 30 years with the book. So let's talk about that. Leaving a legacy with the book. And so now you've been publishing, helping people publish their own book, and you have a whole big brand called Itty Bitty Books. So first, tell us a little bit, because I'm dying of curiosity. Well, how'd you come up with that name?
Oh, you're going to love this. You're going to love this. So my sister and I took a course with James Malinchak. And we're in Las Vegas. Now, I've written big books. I've never written a little book, but always my books are big.
Big books.
And big and photographs big.
And bestsellers, yes.
Yeah. So we're in Las Vegas, and James Valenchek says, write a little book. And I thought, a little book.
A little.
Now, I was in the weight loss business at that time.
Right.
I had a center in Beverly, I had 5 centers in Los Angeles, and with hypnosis. So I'm driving back with my sister in the car, and we're talking about the seminar. And then I think we're talking about books. And I said, I should write Suzy Prudden's Itty Bitty weight loss book, because I was in the weight loss business and my name's been on everything since 1965. And she said, and I'll write the book such and such. And that was it. We came back. I went back to running the business. She wrote the book, Suzy Prudden's Itty Bitty weight loss book. And we didn't know what we were doing. And we bought, this was 2006 or 8, somewhere in there, 2006, 7. And it's not an attractive book. We didn't know what we were doing. And we bought the 2,000 copies. I think I have 1,800 left. And it didn't sell. And we didn't know what we were doing.
Right.
So then, this is so cool. In 2014, I asked my sister to redo the cover, redo the book, make it smaller. And this is what she came up with.
A smaller book.
A very small book. And it's
much better. Look at that. That's much more attractive than the other book that you held up.
Yeah. But the kicker, Arvee, is I'm looking at the book and my name isn't there.
Oh,
okay.
You're right. Okay. You're amazing, Itty Bitty book. Okay.
So I'm looking at it, and I'm looking at my sister, and I'm looking at it, and I go, you're sure you want to take my name off? And she said, I don't care. And I said, well, actually, that's $1 million business.
Oh my God.
We were in business 3 days later with a new corporation. We had our first signed author 2 weeks later, and our first published book 6 weeks later.
Wow.
And now, I mean, I don't know how many books we have now. I really don't. We did our 86th bestseller campaign last week. We have 86 bestsellers. And it is an itty bitty book. It's only 30 pages, 15 chapters, 2 pages each. No fluff, no story.
Beautiful.
And I also have a children's book line, this is a beautiful book. This is an absolutely exquisite book. It's about autism. And the artist is autistic. And then I have Legacy Press, which is some memoirs, novels, and because some people want to write a bigger book. And I said, okay.
Beautiful. So you help people get not only their book published, which is a lot easier and faster if they don't have the pressure of having to write a 300-page book. So yours, as you said, 15 chapters or 15 pages. What was it?
15 chapters, 2 pages each. But it's a style. Each page 1 of every chapter is written in numbered sentences and paragraphs. Page 2 of every chapter is written in bullet points to support page 1, and to get, and this is the piece, Arvee, and I know you know this. The book is to market the author. It's a tool. It's not a business card. I tell people, please don't give it away.
Yeah.
Unless it's to a radio host, a television producer, a newspaper, someplace where the book is going to move you into the spotlight, but not when you're at a networking event and you just hand somebody, here's my business card. Please don't do that.
No, and they're not going to read it anyway. So they won't see any value in it. So let people buy the book or use it.
Yes.
I like that. Use it as a way to get in the spotlight. I love that. So let's talk about your itty bitty books, because I see you have a whole bunch of them behind you. But what are your favorite out of all the ones that you help people get out?
Well, I love the stories that go with the book. So, for example, this book is on space. It's a Explore Space Now book. Pam is a space fanatic. She wants to go to outer space so badly. She wants to have a taxi that takes people to Mars and back. I mean, she's a kick. So she wrote this book on space, and she took it to the Boys and Girls Club of America and said, I'd like to teach your kids about space, and they said, we'd like to have you teach our kids about space. And so she's going to be speaking now to the Boys and Girls Club of America, and they want to buy her book. So they're now raising money to buy her book. Arvee, there are 4 million kids in the Boys and Girls Club of America.
Wow.
What does that mean for this book? 4 million kids.
That's a lot of books being
It's a
sold.
lot of books. So, you know, Itty Bitty is outside the box, so to speak.
Right.
So our authors have to think outside the box, and they do, which is why they choose Itty Bitty. And this book, I love this. This guy's so wonderful. He's in one of my masterminds. His name is Stephen Carpenter. He wrote a book on safety. He is the safety he was the safety expert for the Apple building up in San Francisco, mile-long building. And he wrote this book on safety for the construction industry. It was translated into Chinese.
Wow.
The Chinese government invited him over to China to change their safety protocol, upgrade it, and to help lower pollution.
That's incredible. Just from an itty bitty book.
Just from an itty bitty book.
Launched a whole business for him.
Yep.
Wow.
And this is, I have 2 more. This is one of my favorite stories. This woman did not know. She's an early author. I think this book came out when we first started in 2015. This is a book on marijuana. Now, it was not legal in California yet. She's from Washington State. I met her at a conference in Las Vegas again at CEO Space. And she knew me from before. She'd heard me speak up in Northern California at an event that I was in. I didn't know her. So I call her up. She gives me her card. I call her up and said, well, tell me about yourself. She said, well, I'm a full-blooded gypsy. I said, okay. She said, I'm a disabled vet. I said, okay. She said, I'm a spiritual coach. I said, okay. And she said, and I am a marijuana dispenser. I said, okay. What do you want to write about? Spiritual coaching. I said, what's the low-hanging fruit? She said, I don't know. I said, it's pot. Why don't you write the book, Your Amazing Itty Bitty Marijuana Book, 15 Ways to Use Cannabis for Healing? She said,
I love that.
How did you do that? I said, that's what I do. And then you're going to write the book, 15 Ways to Talk to Your Kids About Cannabis. Then you're going to write the book, 15 Ways to Do Edibles Correctly. And
love it.
When I say that, when I'm speaking to do edibles correctly, I will pause and I say, how many of you have done edibles incorrectly? And the audience goes, because it's not fun when you have a little more than the body can handle. It's like, whoa. I have a friend she said she was stoned for 3 days. Anyway, and she said to her boyfriend, who was a grower, she said, when will this end?
Oh my goodness sakes. Oh,
it was fun. She had been to a fest and she thought the samples were, because they were tiny. A sample edible is tiny, but that's a whole, that you don't want more than one sample. And she just took them like she was at a party and one after another. Yeah. But what she did, I told her, said, create a cannabis coaching program and certify cannabis coaches. So this book, which sells for $6.99 on Amazon, because she has this cannabis coaching program and does Mary Jane parties and stuff, she makes about a couple of $100,000 4 times a year with her coaching program.
Wow.
So, see, the book is much
an itty bitty book.
An itty bitty book. And this gentleman, what he's done he's done 6 books with us. Anthony Camacho, he's a sales professional and he teaches sales. Well, he follows his own teaching and he grew his company using this book as his marketing tool from $100,000 a year to $750,000 a year. He got a contract to go to Australia 8 times in 2 years. I mean, he really pushes himself using his book. It's wonderful to watch him.
Love it. You know what it looks like too to me is a lot of these books are books that maybe never would have been written if it wasn't for you, Suzy. You gave people permission and, of course, a lot of ideas. But like, who would have thought that they could even get a book about cannabis? I mean, sales, yes, of course, but even the safety people. I mean, if that was me, I'd probably be thinking, well, who would want that book really? And then where do I go? to launch it. And you've just helped people with all of that, taken all of the guesswork out of writing a book, promoting a book, getting it out there and using it to grow their business. So good for you. My hats off to you.
Thank you. I want to say something more about Stephen's book, about the safety book.
Yeah.
We got we got a notice from Amazon one day. We're about to put $2,000 into your account. It was like, excuse me?
What?
Exactly. What? He sold, we don't know how. He doesn't either. He sold 1,000 books in one day.
Wow. Well, maybe to someone who's going to have events, who has employees who wanted to hand
Well,
it.
this book is specific to the construction industry. So it could have been a company that has 1,000 construction people that needed to have, because you carry it in your pocket. You don't have to carry the big OSHA books. Yeah.
Got it. I
So-
love it. I love it. You know what, Suzy, our time is coming to an end, and I want to make sure that people get an opportunity to contact you. So if someone is so high in interest, not high, like high on cannabis, no.
No.
On our idea and what we've been talking about today about getting a book out there. I mean, I just love what you do. No one does what you do. No one does what you do.
Well, I have one quick thing to add. What we do when you become an itty bitty author, we send you a how to write an itty bitty book. We send you an itty bitty book and we send you the template. So all you do is fill in the template and we guide you so that you write exactly the amount of pages and words that you need for the itty bitty book. And it's much more difficult to write a short book than a long book.
Yeah.
But once you get the hang of it, it's really easy. And yeah, it's exciting. It's very exciting.
I mean, it took me 9 years to write my book. This is before Itty Bitty book. So it took me 9 years.
Yep.
So somebody can write a book, an itty bitty book, in how long? Like if they just get the template and they go right to work.
The shortest we've had was 4 days.
Whoa.
Yep. And it was funny because when she sent us the book, it was like, whoa, how'd she do that? And because most people take much longer. And the longest, I think, we're putting it out this month, and she started it in, I think, June of 2015. So that's 5.5 years.
Yeah, but that's someone just putting it on the back shelf.
She had to. She went through cancer. She had 2 surgeries. I mean, she did. So people always ask me, how long did it take? And it's really, it's when if a person sits down and to do it and does it, it's fast. Very often people circle the wagon, so to speak.
Yeah.
Circle the desk. I remember doing that with the first book that I wrote by myself. And a friend of mine who was a writer said, you have to literally sit down, write your outline, and not get up until it's done. So I sat down at my desk. This is in New York, and that's when I was writing by hand.
Right.
Oh God, the iterations that we had.
Oh my God,
I would write it by hand, and then I'd type it, and then I'd cut and paste, literally cut and paste.
Oh my goodness.
So here I am writing by hand, and I made it up, but I took an imaginary, like a clamp, and I put it around my leg in my imagination, and it had a chain, and I chained myself to the chair leg, and in my imagination, but it wasn't. So I'm madly writing, and I decided, okay, I think I'll get something to eat, and I stood up, I started to walk, and my leg wouldn't move.
Whoa.
And I thought, oh,
this is interesting.
This is interesting. So I sat down, finished the outline, and I heard a clunk. And it's all in my imagination, but it wasn't in that. I got up and went into the kitchen and got myself something to eat.
That's amazing.
I thought this is
All right. So if somebody's ready to write their itty bitty book and get their message out to the world, how do they do it, Suzy? How do they get a hold of you?
The best way to get a hold of me is my website, Suzy Prudden, not that one, Itty Bitty Publishing. It's ITTYBITTY publishing.com. Now, it's very easy to mistake it and go Itty Bitty Books. That's not my company. That's a UK company. So, and those are little teeny weeny books. So ittybittypublishing.com, and you can call me 310-640-8885. 310-640-8885.
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
I
Call Suzy.
call me and let's talk, because if you have a message, you need to get it out there, and let me help you do it in a very simple and easy way.
Amen. I so agree. And Suzy, after what's happened this past year, this crazy year we've had, it's like, don't procrastinate. If
No.
you got that message, I don't care what message you saw, that it could be about pot, right? It can be about safety. It can be about sales. It can be about business, but it can be about non-business topics. So it doesn't matter what it is. Suzy will figure out the angle that will get that book sold and get business for you. So
Yes.
don't procrastinate one day. Give Suzy a call, reach out to her. This is your calling. This is like we're talking to you. That's why you're listening to this podcast right now. We're talking to you. So call Suzy today. Call Suzy today. And what was that quote from the New York Times? If Suzy is talking about it today, the rest of the country will be talking about it tomorrow. So we're talking about it today. So make sure that you jump in and take advantage of Suzy's time, her great offer of her time and talents. All right, Suzy, what else do you want to leave our audience with today before we wrap this up?
Well, I have a free gift for everybody if they want.
Wow, yes.
Four hypnosis processes that will help you write a bestseller. 4 hypnosis processes that will increase your wealth, and an opportunity to have a conversation with me. And is there a chat? Can I put it in the chat? No chat?
No, because it's a podcast, but I'll put it in the show notes. So
Okay.
in the show notes, just scan down and find the show notes. But go ahead. And is it a short link that you can verbally?
It's the same link that I just well, it's not. You know what? I don't even know.
Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's call Suzy or reach out to her at her ittybittypublishing.com.
ittybittypublishing.com. And I know it's
Now,
like, let me see.
They can get a hold of you on social media, though, right? Where are you on social media?
Suzy Prudden on Facebook.
Facebook. So
just contact me.
Facebook. Yeah, or Messenger. That's like, and Suzy is spelled with a Z, so it's SUZ as in zebra, or Z if you're from Canada. Y Prudden PRUDDEN. Right,
yep.
2 D's. Right. So make sure you reach out to her. You'll find her. There's only one.
There is.
There's only one. All right, Suzy. Well, it's been such a pleasure having you on the show today. I can't tell you, I've been so excited. I just love you. I love knowing you. I love sharing the stage with you. And, you're just fascinating and brilliant, a big, bright, shiny light in the world today. So thank you so much for all you do.
Thanks, Arvee. And thank you for having me as a guest.
You're welcome. All right. Well, that's our show today. Tune in back next Wednesday for another great interview. Bye for now.